Marion Griffin, first woman to practice law in Tennessee, 1907. The following opinion appears in a legal magazine entitled Law Notes at the turn of the 20th century.
Women as a class are not fit for a legal career. There may be a few marked exceptions, but the average intelligent, cultured, and educated woman is no more fit for the practice of law than the ordinary male is for the position of leading soprano in the church choir.
Carol Busey, professor of history at Volunteer State Community College, talks about Marion Griffin, the first woman lawyer in the state of Tennessee.
An interesting aspect of Marion Griffin's life is the fact that she wanted to be a lawyer. There she was working as a stenographer, a secretary. And that was a relatively new position for females because up until about 1880, all of the offices had male secretaries who were really working as apprentices. And she wanted to be a lawyer, but there was some resistance to this. In those days, you weren't required in the state of Tennessee to have a law degree to take the bar exam. You could read for the law and then take the test.
At the turn of the 20th century, there were no women lawyers in the state of Tennessee, and women could not attend Tennessee law schools. In 1900, Marion Griffin passed the examinations required to become a lawyer, but was refused admittance to the Tennessee State Bar. After repeated attempts to change the State Bar's ruling, she decided to attend law school outside the state.
She went to the University of Michigan, where the course was a 3-year course, and she completed the course in 9 months. It's very interesting how important it was for her to get a law degree and the extreme she went to get a degree. Those opportunities were certainly very limited to other females in the state who might have wanted to do that, and of course they couldn't have attended any of our own law schools at this particular time.
After graduation from law school, Marion Griffin returned home and continued her efforts. Having no success with the courts, she finally succeeded in getting a special act of the state legislature passed, which allowed women to practice law in Tennessee. Later, she would serve as a representative in that same legislature. Carol Busey.
The suffragists down in Memphis, or the Memphis League of Women Voters, decided they were going to have a representative in the House that was a female from Shelby County. And so they picked the obvious choice, a woman who had a law degree, who was practicing law there, Marion Griffin. She wasn't content just to take her position as a woman there. She really stood up and fought for what she believed in.
While serving on the General Assembly, Marion sponsored bills such as the Shepherd-Towner Act, which sought to curb infant mortality rates through education, and the Equal Guardianship Law, which gave women equal guardianship over their children. From the time Marion Griffin began practicing law in 1907 to the present, representation of women in legal professions has gradually improved. Though there are still significant improvements to be made, women like Marion Griffin helped to establish the right to practice law for 1/2 of the population in the United States.
I feel that the League of Women Voters of Tennessee in 1922 must have been so proud of Marion Griffin to see her come to the legislature. She was really the personification of what suffrage meant to so many of these women. They believed that if women could just get the right to vote, half of the legislatures of the country would be female very quickly. And of course, it didn't happen.
I turned 21 at the turn of the century, and I was working as a stenographer, studying law, with the purpose of becoming a lawyer. Being a legal age, and as was custom at the time, I went before 2 judges for my examinations, and I was found to be qualified. However, when I petitioned the Supreme Court to admit me to the bar, I was rejected on the sole grounds that I was undeniably a woman. A 7-year quest ensued at that moment, for I would not be dissuaded. The next year I filed a second request, This time a divided court again denied me, but with Justice Wilkes writing the dissenting opinion stating he could see no valid objection to women practicing law. That women have, by the force of their own indomitable will and purpose, opened up their way into all avenues of business and trade. And that a woman should be given a chance to make an honest living. And whether she makes it by necessity or choice, she should not be disbarred from it except for good legal reasons. Men have had the right to do the business, women should have the same. No favoritism needs to be shown in its rough and tumble game. I consider myself fortunate to have achieved the goal I sought, to make an honest living in the profession of the law. Though not required, I did attend a law college. I went to the University of Michigan, passed with very high marks, completing every course offered in a 3-year curriculum in 9 months. Law schools were a problem. One well-known school refused women with the dean exclaiming women should gain admission only over his dead body. Shortly thereafter, he left the college to become a Supreme Court justice, and a group of the first women admitted sending him a telegram saying, "We expect you are lying prone on the courthouse steps today." They did not receive a reply. Men have had the right to do the business, women should have the same. No favoritism needs to be shown in its rough and tumble game. I consider myself fortunate to have achieved the goal I sought, to make an honest living in the profession of the law. I came back to Memphis with renewed determination. Having no other recourse, I took my request to the legislature, urging the state to pass an act to allow women to practice law in Tennessee. At first, I was met with some guffaws and wisecracks, but finally succeeded in getting it passed on February 13th, 1907. Be it enacted by the General Assembly that any woman of the age of 21 years and otherwise possessing the necessary qualifications who shall apply for the same may be granted a license to practice law in the courts of this state. Men have had the right to do the business, women should have the same. No favoritism needs to be shown in its rough and tumble game. I consider myself fortunate to have achieved the goal I sought, to make an honest living in the profession of the law. To make an honest living in the profession